A rude awakening for Lawler and for MAGA Republicans in general, especially Donald Trump, as Lawler has tried to present himself to New York 17th and to the rest of the country as a moderate.
My record speaks for itself. I have been rated the fourth most bipartisan for a reason.
Did you know Trump's approval ratings are the lowest of any modern president in 80 years? At just 39% overall and a pathetic 27% among independents, Orange Man is about as popular as gas station sushi. Meanwhile, his congressional minions are facing the music at town halls across America. Mike Lawler claimed to be the fourth most bipartisan member of Congress, right before getting booed by the very people who elected him. Talk about a rude awakening. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Cutting Social Security and Medicaid. He is someone who basically allowed Donald Trump to attack Social Security offices in his district, and Donald Trump is reacting to that town hall and other town halls. This as someone who brings the parties together, but everybody knows that Lawler is someone who aids and abets the MAGA agenda. He's someone who has talked about cuts weekend and weekends prior where MAGA Republicans were getting brutally booed by the crowd. And we're talking about people in their congressional district now.
Ever wonder what happens when a politician's carefully crafted image crashes into reality? Mike Lawler's town hall gives us front row seats to this political car crash. Lawler has been parading around Congress with his fourth most bipartisan badge pinned proudly to his chest. It's practically his political pickup line at this point. Hey voters, did you know I'm super bipartisan? I work across the aisle. I'm not like those other Republicans. But as we're about to see, this moderate mask fits about as well as Trump's suits. At a recent town hall meeting, Lawler faced a crowd that wasn't exactly buying what he was selling. These weren't the nodding yes people politicians usually surround themselves with. Nope, these were actual constituents with actual questions about his actual voting record. Crazy concept, right? Asking a politician about what they've actually done instead of what they claim they've done.
But if you look at the ground rules that Mike Lawler set for this town hall, it says attendees other than accredited members of the press must live in New York's 17th congressional district. Proof of residency is required. Donald Trump and the MAGAs may pretend that these are paid actors who show up, which basically is telling because everything's projection and confession when it comes to Trump and MAGAs. That means they probably do that. If you cannot provide proof of residency in New York 17th upon request, you'll be asked to leave the premises. So they put strict security protocols to ensure that nobody outside the district would show up.
When constituents started pressing him on his support for MAGA policies, Lawler looked like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. His moderate facade started crumbling faster than Trump's border wall promises.
Here's what Donald Trump posted after Lawler's town hall. Trump wrote, "The radical left Democrats are paying a fortune to have people infiltrate the town halls of Republican congressmen. And at all of these town halls, these are people from the district. We're talking about independents, we're talking about Democrats, and we're talking about the non-MAGA Republicans who are livid at Donald Trump." It should be noted that Donald Trump's approval rating in the recent CNN poll is about 41%, and the recent Washington Post ABC Ipsos poll, 39%.
It turns out claiming you're bipartisan and actually voting in a bipartisan way are two completely different things. Who would have thought? The real fireworks started when voters pushed him on Social Security and Medicaid. Lawler has supported policies that could lead to cuts in these essential programs. Programs that many of his constituents literally depend on to survive. When confronted with this inconvenient truth, he squirmed and stammered through explanations that satisfied exactly nobody. It's hard to convince people you're protecting their healthcare when your voting record says otherwise. That's like claiming you're a vegetarian while chowing down on a cheeseburger. What made this town hall particularly fascinating was watching Lawler's desperate attempts to distance himself from Trump's more extreme positions. He tried to draw this imaginary line between himself and MAGA world, but constituents weren't having it. They kept pointing to his actual votes, which repeatedly aligned with Trump's agenda. Turns out actions speak louder than bipartisan words.
Independents in those polls, Donald Trump has an approval rating amongst that cohort of about 27 to 30%. They absolutely hate Donald Trump. In both of those polls, it is the lowest in modern presidential history, dating back, in fact, over 80 years. Trump has a lower approval rating than any president in modern times, and for the past 80 years. When you go through the crosstabs as well, when it comes to Latino voters, when it comes to young voters 18 to 29, when it comes to women voters, when it comes to black voters, when it comes to all these other voters.
A shocking revelation for politicians everywhere. The audience reaction tells you everything you need to know. The room was filled with independents, Democrats, and even non-MAGA Republicans who responded to his explanations with boos and challenges. When you're getting booed by people across the political spectrum, it might be time to rethink your strategy, or at least get better at lying about your record. But the moment that truly exposed Lawler's charade came from an unexpected source. Dion Voles, a 102-year-old constituent who relies on Medicaid, delivered the kind of authentic, emotional testimony that no politician can spin their way out of. Voles didn't mince words, directly accusing Lawler of aiding and abetting the cruelty of the Trump agenda. When a centenarian calls you out for supporting cruel policies that threaten her healthcare, no amount of bipartisan talk can save you. Voles' testimony was particularly powerful because she's literally lived through decades of administrations from both parties. When someone who's been around for over a century tells you this is exceptionally bad, maybe you should listen. Her words cut through the political theater like a hot knife through butter, leaving Lawler with nowhere to hide. This town hall perfectly illustrates the moderate Republican myth that's become so popular lately. It's just a costume some GOP members wear while still supporting the same MAGA agenda that voters are increasingly rejecting. They want the credibility of being seen as reasonable without actually having to take reasonable positions. It's political catfishing at its finest. When politicians like Lawler try to have it both ways, claiming moderation while backing extremism, they end up pleasing nobody. MAGA supporters think they're too soft, while moderates and progressives see through the act. It's like trying to convince vegetarians you're one of them while secretly eating meat, and then also trying to convince meat eaters you're actually a carnivore. Nobody's buying it, Mike. What's becoming crystal clear from these town hall disasters is that the GOP's favorite move, the old moderate masquerade, isn't fooling voters anymore. According to recent polls, Trump's approval has tanked to just 27 to 30% among independents, with similar abysmal numbers among Latino, young, women, and black voters. And what's the Republican response? Representative Virginia Foxx admitted, "I don't do town halls because I think it's just an opportunity for people to yell at their member of Congress." No kidding. When politicians can't face their own voters, you know the jig is up, the MAGA mask is slipping, and no amount of bipartisan cosplay can hide it.